Hello, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Candy Richards. I'm here from the Federation of Small Businesses, and we're really looking forward to delivering a practical webinar, which is on smarter energy, stronger business, how smart meters can help you save. So I'm really pleased to be joined today by two fantastic guests. John Perks, who is the Small Business Director at EDF, and Heather Nicholson, who is a director at Bottle. And together we're going to explore how smart meters can help small businesses take control of their energy use. So before we begin, a little bit about our fantastic guests. So John Perks from EDF has over 25 years experience in the energy industry. So John has guided thousands of businesses through energy challenges, from how to navigate a volatile energy market through to exploring net zero ambitions. And our next guest, Heather Nicholson, has over 18 years experience at Bottle, a really fantastic small business. Heather has dedicated her career to pioneering eco-friendly solutions in the drinkware industry. So, John and Heather will explore how using smart meter data can make smarter decisions to help your business save cash, time, as well as reducing your carbon footprint. So, whether you're running a business and you're just starting out, or you're further along your line of this on the sustainability path, this session will give you the tools and the insights to crucially power your business forward. So John and Heather, really fantastic to have you today. And I think, John, you've got some slides to go through.
Yeah, thank you, Candy, for the introduction. Great to be with everyone today. Um, so if I just kick off the presentation and then we're going to move into a Q&A. What we find from speaking to our small business customers, when it comes to energy, they're dealing with a range of different problems. Obviously, small businesses have their own set of challenges unique away from energy, but when it comes to energy, we've certainly seen over recent years a rise in energy costs for businesses. We know that post-COVID, we had the energy crisis, which saw a huge increase in the price of energy. There were some government support schemes that came into place to provide some respite to those high costs for a period of time. But as those support schemes have fallen away, we are still seeing energy being a significantly more expensive cost for businesses. What we find as well is that not only is the actual underlying energy component of customers' bills has been coming down, but the cost of maintaining the network and providing support to new types of generation coming onto the grid, that's increasingly taking up more and more cost and playing a bigger factor in terms of the bills that customers are paying. So we definitely see high utility costs as being a common energy problem. We're also seeing the push towards sustainability, businesses under pressure to become more environmentally aware and conscious. And we're seeing that as an added burden, especially when working with larger corporates that might have corporate sustainability goals in mind. As for small businesses working with larger corporates, it's becoming an increasing kind of pressure on them to ensure that they're on that sustainability journey. And finally, yeah, newer technologies are more energy efficient, but businesses dealing with a lot of inefficient, outdated equipment, that's just carrying an additional cost burden. So it's then finding the ability to secure funding to upgrade, update equipment on site. So those are three of the common energy problems that we see our customers face. But we're going to talk today about how smart metering, how smart meters can help overcome some of those challenges. From our perspective, what we see is the three big benefits that customers can derive from getting a smart meter. Well, number one, your invoicing from your energy supplier will become more accurate. The ability to get meter readings regularly will mean that you should never be paying on an estimated reading. You'll have complete control over ensuring that you're paying for what you're using. You also get the ability with a smart meter to see how your how your business premise is consuming energy, when it's consuming energy through energy suppliers' online portals. You can actually break down your energy consumption, your electricity consumption into 48 half-hour periods throughout the day. And that's really helpful to understand where you might want to take intervention, understanding why energy is being used at certain points in the day, and then with your teams take action to tackle that. And because the smart meter is doing all of the heavy lifting for you, you don't need to set reminders and worry about going and getting the reading yourself, especially if the meter is in a different building or away from where you're it's sort of easy to access it. Again, the smart meter is constantly sending meter readings to your supplier, and that frees up time for business owners who we know are incredibly time poor. So, like EDF, we believe that it all starts with smart. Smart metering doesn't just deliver those improvements we've said there, but it acts as a gateway to unlocking a range of other improvements that you can make as a business to not only save cash, but also play a part in decarbonising the electricity usage across the UK. And here are a range of different things. I won't go through them all in detail. There's a lot of different things that you can do once you've got a smart meter. But maybe just to draw attention to a couple of elements here. You've got the ability to move on to more smart enabled tariffs. I think that's probably one of the big enablers that smart will bring, is the ability to then access tariffs that are only available to customers that have a smart meter. So that's a kind of key enabling step for this. And we're seeing more and more smart enabled tariffs coming into the market now and creating those opportunities for businesses. I'm just going to hand over now and introduce you to Heather. Heather, I don't know if you want to say hello and introduce yourself.
Hello there. My name's Heather. I started Bottle, or One Green Bottle Limited, nearly 20 years ago now. So we started in 2006. I had previously worked in polymer chemistry. So I'd worked in the plastics industry with Courtaulds, and then latterly in the electronics industry as a chemist. And I was very aware of what goes into our drinks from plastics, how chemical compounds can migrate into your drink stuff. When my son was an infant and they all go to school with their little bottles or nursery into hot classrooms, I wasn't going to let him have a little plastic bottle. You couldn't get alternatives then. I was aware that stainless steel was the safest vessel to use, so I started bringing products in. And from the start, this is our timeline of achievements really, and the sustainable field. We have aimed to do it properly and responsibly. So we were virtually from day one zero plastic packaging, and we extended that to a zero plastic supply chain. We are now a certified B Corp. We're also a plastic bank partner or ocean steward, so we collect 50 single-use plastic water bottles from the ocean for every bottle we sell. Last year, our manufacturing site introduced solar power. They've got an enormous factory with solar panels on every area, every square inch. And we're doing cradle to cradle certification next year. So we've tried to do it responsibly from the start. The next step was we've always looked, as part of a B Corp, we have to continually submit impact reports. So we've always looked externally. Looking internally at our electricity supply was new to us. I don't know why, but I guess we'll get into that at some point now.
Thanks, Heather. And you've been on the journey with EDF as your energy supplier to get a smart meter.
Yes.
And it's a very straightforward process for any businesses that are on the call today, and you've not got a smart meter yet. It's a relatively seamless process, and the first step is to book an appointment, liaise with your energy supplier. If you're supplied by EDF, there's online tools available for you to book that appointment. And then at a scheduled time, an engineer will visit your property and go through the steps required to upgrade your meter. There is often a small supply interruption, whilst the swap over is taking place. But once done and the meter is commissioned, you are up and running and ready to go. And Heather, I know you and the team had your smart meter upgraded recently, and
Yes.
you had a creative way of managing the period where the supply was off to the property, didn't you?
Yes, we had a takeaway. We always eat al desco, not by design, but we took time to leave our desktops and go and sit around and have a big takeaway from Faux. I was laughing also that you mentioned access to meter readings. We actually, on our estate here, we have to go into a little building that's hard to get access to. And it's cold out there, you're over water, it's a big metal box, and it's always a hassle to go and get a meter reading externally. We don't have to do that now.
Amazing. Great. So yeah, if you're worried about how challenging this can be, this is just to reassure you, it's a straightforward process, and appreciate supply interruptions aren't ideal, but we do have options to schedule that outside of kind of core working hours as well, as an opportunity there. So once you've got your smart meter and it's fully commissioned, you've then got the option to sign into, if you're supplied by EDF, Energy Hub. And that will then give you, on the following day, a look back on consumption for that meter, and like I mentioned earlier, 48 half-hour periods of data that you can then analyze and interpret. It's a really powerful way to spot, like inefficiencies, things that you might think, well, you thought you switched everything off at the end of the day, but then when you look at the day plus one data, you're seeing actually no, you had some things running throughout the day or throughout the evening that you didn't realize. It can then also help you to kind of make targeted investments. If you can see that a particular bit of kit on your site is drawing quite a lot of energy usage, that can help build a business case to upgrade, replace that bit of kit. And what we're starting to see as well, the emergence of time of use tariffs that smart metering enables. I mentioned earlier smarter tariffs. And if you, as a business, have the opportunity to shift your usage outside of times when energy is expensive, in particular at this time of the year, between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. when demand is at its greatest, that's where we see energy costs at their highest. Most tariffs, most kind of historic tariffs, don't really reflect that in the way you're paying for your energy, but new tariffs are starting to isolate that period. And if you can reduce your consumption during those periods of time, you can deliver real big savings across the course of the year. And that's where, again, further investment in technology that helps you shift, because not every business is going to be able to power everything down at 4 o'clock. Investments in things like battery technology on site that can allow you to just automatically be load shifting behind the scenes. Again, that there's more of an economic case with the smart tariffs that are coming online. So we'll go into this in a bit more detail in the Q&A section, but just to kind of give you a visualization of what this can all look like. So before we get into the Q&A, I just wanted to mention a couple of things that you can do as well. If you wanted to come and join EDF, we've got a couple of exclusive offers going at the moment. So if you sign up to EDF as a new customer, you'll get access to a £150 Amazon voucher. So in terms of how you do that, either give our sales team a call and quote FSB-EDF, or we've got an online sales journey that you can complete in less than 10 minutes. So there's a QR code there that you can scan, and we'll share the links post the webinar as well. And also really exciting, as I said, it's smart metering really helps you to save energy, but it's even better if you can just get free energy. So we're running a competition at the moment for both new and existing customers. If you sign up, again, scan the QR code, and you've got the opportunity to sign up to EDF, join the competition. Again, if you're already an EDF customer, you can still join the competition by scanning that QR code. So that's the slides done. I think I'll reintroduce Candy to come back in and help run the Q&A section. So I'll stop sharing now. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you, John. And that competition sounds absolutely amazing. So I'm sure you'll get lots of people very interested in that and getting busy sort of putting their entry in. So thank you to both of you. That was a really interesting sort of overview of how smart meters can help in terms of saving energy consumption. So we've got some questions that I'd like to go through. For anyone watching the webinar as well, at the bottom of your screen, you will see a Q&A function. So do pop your questions into there, and we'll make sure we cover as many of those as we can on today's session. So the first question I've got is around what inspired your focus on energy efficiency. And Heather, if it's okay, I'll come to you first, and then John, if you wanted to chip in.
We are, obviously, as a B Corp, we have to submit an impact report every year, and we're continually looking at savings in terms of carbon. And it was, we thought we were a tiny company and we didn't use much electricity. But now, having looked at it and seen the results from the smart meter, we realised there actually are things we can do. So getting a smart meter has enabled us to see to get a clearer picture of what is happening.
That's fantastic. John, what about you? How can you share your experiences?
Well, so EDF in the UK, we're proud to be the biggest generator of zero carbon electricity across our existing fleet of nuclear power stations, and also our range of renewable assets that we have as well, onshore, offshore wind farms. So we're doing our bit to kind of generate zero carbon electricity. We're also building the next sort of generation of zero carbon electricity as well, with the new power station at Hinkley Point, and just had the green light to move ahead with the project in Sizewell as well. And we know our company mission is to electrify Britain, and we know that in order for us to decarbonize the UK grid, more and more energy sources will have to be electrified. We're seeing that now with the shift towards electric vehicles, electric heating. And so we know we've got to play our part there, and we're really committed to supporting our customers on that journey as well. And I think that's where, for me, energy efficiency, everyone's going to be using more electricity. Like that's what all the forecasts say is going to be happening. So if we can help businesses bring down what they're using, in particular during those periods where we've got peaks in demand, where that naturally will bring a requirement for us to use more flexible sources of electricity generation, gas in particular. If we can work with our customers to help them bring down their peak usage, that will further drive a step towards net zero for the UK.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Thanks, John. Actually, I'm going to start with you for the next question as well, if you don't mind. So we talk about smart energy a lot, and we hear people talking about smart energy, but sort of in one line, what does smart energy mean to you?
In one line, what
as
is it?
succinct as possible.
So I think for me, it's smart energy. It's about taking control of what you're using and when you're using it. That for me is, in one line, that for me is what smart energy is. It's that active involvement in what you're using and when you're using it.
That's fantastic. And Heather, in one line, how would you sum up smart energy?
Exactly what John said. I would also add transparency. If you have a measurable, you can start to work with it.
No, it's fantastic. Now, Heather, you've obviously shared your sort of experiences about how smart energy meters have really helped you. So if you were speaking to other business owners, what would you say about why smart meters are important for small businesses right now?
Well, for us, we might have slightly different goals to other businesses, but for us, it was about savings and sustainability. It was a key driver. But obviously, it's a triple whammy, isn't it? Because you're also saving money and saving time. But the smart meter means you can see things. You can see things clearly. It's not a hassle to switch to a smart meter. So it was a no-brainer for us.
That's fantastic. And John, for you, how would you sum that up?
I think, well, Heather's taken the best answer, so I'll think of the next best one. And I mentioned this earlier, actually, with the infographic, and the thing that smart metering will ultimately enable is more sophisticated tariffs that will allow businesses to ultimately unlock even greater savings. So I think it's a big gateway towards that. We've seen it at the very big businesses, high energy consumers that will often set their pricing to how much energy will cost for the day ahead. That's been quite common for many years. We're now starting to see that grow in the residential market as well, where customers are moving on to different tariffs that if you can move your consumption, if you can shift it away from those peak periods, you can achieve savings. It's always been a bit harder for small businesses to be as flexible, be as adaptable. We know that many businesses want that cost certainty. They want to know what they're going to pay. But knowing that you can ultimately, by taking more active control and active management, knowing that you can save money overall, now the sort of business case for investing the time and energy and potentially investing in technology to help you shift your load around, it's becoming a lot more compelling for businesses. So yeah, I would say my second best answer would be about smart energy tariffs.
That's fantastic. So Heather, I've got a question for you actually. So you've covered lots of bases when you were talking about actually why you've chosen to opt for a smart meter. But obviously you're a really sustainably driven business as well. So if you had to pick one benefit, which benefit matters most to you? Time, money, or cutting your carbon footprint?
For us, it's the carbon footprint, but it's easy for us to say that. And I don't want to seem glib, but we don't have to, we're only an office here with PCs. So it's easy for us to say that. If you've got machinery, etc., our electricity bill is relatively small, but even so, we've seen what we can do to reduce that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think there'll be so many other businesses actually watching the webinar as well who, like you, they've got a real desire, obviously, to save money as well, but cutting their carbon footprint is just so important to so many small businesses. So yeah, I think you'll find there's lots of people that agree with you on that. So thinking about insights from smart meters, and I think that's one of the really interesting aspects of smart meters, isn't it? It can help you understand your energy consumption. Again, we'll go back to you, Heather, first, if that's okay. What insights do you gain from your smart meter to help you control your usage?
So we're in a BREEAM building here. So it's BREEAM is the environmental standard for buildings. So we don't really have high electricity costs to keep it warm, to keep it cool in the summer. We open the windows. I was surprised when I drilled down and looked at the data how our PCs are such a big draw on electricity. And already we were able to, once you see a time shot of data, you can start to act upon it. So we've already seen that if we put them into sleep mode, it's a massive saving.
Well, that's really interesting. So it's finding out those little things you can do just to tweak,
tiny little
save
tweak,
more energy. Yeah, it's really interesting. And John, probably the same question to you as well. Sort of what insights do you sort of say to businesses that they can gain from installing a smart meter?
I think for me, it's the trend analysis over time. So looking and comparing at what you're using one day to the next, 1 week to the next, 1 month to the next. That's what, EDS Energy Hub, other energy suppliers will have similar versions. That's really powerful at doing.
Yeah.
What changed from one day to the next that's driven that difference? So yeah, for me, trend analysis over a period of time, especially if you're planning initiatives to bring down your energy consumption, that's a really helping set those benchmarks of what you're trying to beat. That's where that's really important.
That's fantastic. So we've talked briefly around sort of how smart meters help reduce those costs or improve efficiency. Are there any other areas, John, that actually you can sort of tease out how smart meters help?
I'll give a real life example from one of our business customers at EDF. They didn't have a smart meter. They had it was a scout hut actually, so they weren't in the property all the time. and they didn't realize, but they were running, they got their energy bill was sent through. And it had been a while since they'd taken a meter reading. They took the reading, got their bill generated off the back of that. And the bill was massive, much 10 times higher than they were expecting for it to be. And it transpired that they'd had a heating unit running in the Scout hut when no one was there. They didn't realize at the time, so it was genuine consumption. But yeah, because it had been a while since they'd taken a meter reading, all of this had been happening behind the scenes, and they were unaware. So yeah, obviously they were then able to take action to switch it off, but the damage had already been done at that point. The consumption had occurred. So yeah, I think that's just like a really extreme example of how frequent, accurate meter readings enable you to spot things like that happening. You know, if that customer in that instance had had the chance to spot that within a day or two, they would have saved a significant amount of money. So yeah, that's a real life example of how smart meters can really help.
And Heather, you already gave us a great example, didn't you, of how you're using your smart meter to reduce costs and improve your efficiency. Are there any other examples you've got, or how you use it in terms of forward planning as a business?
We're in the early days of using the smart meter, so to really sort of drill down and analyze the data. So at the moment, we're sort of doing A/B testing to see if we switch this off at this time, what happens if we all put our PCs onto sleep. But I will just say that I don't know if the other attendees can sympathise with this, but this year and the latter end of last year, probably the hardest year we've had in business, in a small business in the UK. So savings, it's not a huge amount of your business, of our business, savings in electricity. It makes a difference.
That's fantastic. Some really good answers there. So once you've had a smart meter installed, what is the simplest sort of first step to take after you've got that meter installed? So Heather, we'll come back to you first, if that's okay.
In terms of what? Sorry, Candy.
So once you've had your smart meter installed, what's the sort of first thing that you did as a business once you had your smart meter installed? Just in terms of looking at your energy consumption and sort of taking steps to learn from how you're using your energy.
We had a takeaway. Firstly, we mentioned the takeaway, but after that, we have every month we have a balanced scorecard meeting, and so everyone within the business, and it covers all aspects of your business, have key performance measurables. And so Binny, our office manager, has now got the measurable for energy, which we measure everything. We measure all of the tangibles and intangibles in terms of metrics for the business. And we weren't measuring the energy usage of our office. So that was a new one for us, and that's great. So we'll report on that every single month.
And John, any other examples that you can share of how those sort of simple first steps that businesses have taken after having a meter installed?
Yeah, well, once it's been fully commissioned as part of the installation, then just getting signed up to Energy Hub. If you're an EDF customer, or other suppliers will have their own kind of versions of this, but just getting all the logons, access, set up. Energy Hub is accessed through my account login details, so you can sign into that section of the app or website, and then just start analyzing. You get it straight away. So yeah, that's the first thing everyone should do. Otherwise, all you're really benefiting from is just the ability to get meter readings without having to go into a horrible outbuilding. So yeah, sign up to your Energy Hub or equivalent solution.
That's brilliant. So Heather, we heard from you earlier actually about your business and how committed you are to sustainability. And you're actually a B Corp certified business, aren't you?
Yes.
So I'm just really intrigued to understand actually how smart meter data can actually support your sustainability goals. And crucially, anyone else, who is watching the webinar, if they've got some really sort of key sustainability goals as well, how can a smart meter feed into those goals?
With B Corp, it's you can't stay in the same position. You've got to be continually improving. So your impact report, not only are you reporting on your previous 12 months impact or the sustainability gains you've made as a business, but you've got to be looking at forward what achievements, what gains you could make in the future. So we can tick a big box measuring our energy and having proven that we've reduced our energy usage in a short time.
Yeah, it's great. So I suppose it gives you that evidence base, doesn't it, to say that
Yeah.
you're doing what you say you're doing. Brilliant. John, any other tips for businesses that are really focusing on those sustainability goals?
I think Heather's the expert here in terms of the journey that Bottle have been on. Um, yeah, I think it comes down to measurement and target setting are the key elements here. So once you know what you're using, you can then set those improvement targets, and also look to explore further investment. Um, yeah, Heather mentioned, I think, your manufacturing site, you've got solar panels installed there currently. So some of those other investments that you can be making, oftentimes the way the tariffs operate with those technology investments require smart metering as well. So again, it's a bit of a gateway to those investments.
Yeah, that's really fantastic, and a really good segue actually into my next question. So Heather, just curious, so would you say smart meters act as a gateway to sort of wider sustainability efforts? You know, once you take that first step, can it open the doors to being even more sustainable as a business?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. One of the things I was going to add to what we just mentioned is that normally efforts in sustainability cost a business. They have they have a negative impact on your bottom line, whereas this is positive. So that's a win-win for us.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So my next question is around how you engage your team in energy data. So Heather, I'll start with you again, if I may. So you've got a team, haven't you, sort of working with you at
Yes.
Bottle. So how do you engage them in sort of using energy data in their day-to-day role?
So that's what I mentioned before, our balanced scorecard meeting. So the metrics that we report on as a team, and I think there's about 60 metrics that are reported on every month. And our office manager is in charge of energy usage now. And we're a tiny team here, but we all get involved in it. So it's switching things off, putting things to sleep, checking everything is off in the evening. And we're then passing this on to our suppliers. So one of our suppliers is a printer, and so they've got a heavy machine resource using energy. So we're going to push them towards using a smart meter.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. Yeah. John, have you got any other examples of how businesses have really got their whole team behind it to use sort of energy data for the greater good of the business?
I think it's about yeah, helping the team feel like they want to be engaged. I would sort of liken it to uh, being at home with kids that love leaving lights on, and because they're not paying for the energy bills ultimately, but how do you kind of motivate and get them engaged with switching lights off, not having the heating on unnecessarily? I think it's the same for businesses. Ultimately, Heather, members of your team aren't sort of paying for the energy bills at the end of the day, so you're thinking around ways to maybe gamify and incentivize them to think about that. So I think that's the trick is how at home, how do you convince your kids to not leave lights on unnecessarily? But yeah, within a business setting, how do you get your employees to be as engaged as ultimately you are as the person that's paying the energy bills each month?
Absolutely. So making sure that actually saving energy is everyone's sort of business within a small business, essentially.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
had a question actually come through, which I'm probably going to put to you, John, if that's okay. So, this is around solar panels. So, Rob has asked, would you endorse solar panels once a smart meter has been installed? You know, is that something that businesses can consider?
Yeah, definitely. I think you've got to understand that there'll be a number of kind of pre-qualifying steps to go through around like size of your roof, direction that it's facing as well, and then also doing your research on the kind of tariff options that you've got available to you to get paid for what you generate. So the size of the array that you're going to get installed versus the amount you're consuming. Clearly, in the UK, this time of the year, there's not as much solar generation, so it's a consideration for the kind of annual consumption profile, the annual generation profile. So there's lots of things that are unique to your property that you've got to understand first before signing up to it. But we've got lots of tools available to help you kind of pre-diagnose whether a solar array is the right thing for your business. So get in contact with the teams here, and we can step you through if it's an area of interest.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. And if anyone else watching the webinar has got questions, do pop them in the Q&A, and we'll get to them sort of as soon as we can. So Heather, what would you say is next for smart meters and small businesses, just to put you on the spot?
Ooh. I think people just need to sort of jump in and do it. It's one of those things that's sort of like bottom of your list if you're dealing with day-to-day firefighting or whatever you're getting on with your day-to-day checklist of things to do as a business. Just do it. It was really, really easy. Really, really easy to do. And as I say, our downtime was only 30 minutes and we enjoyed that. We made the most of it.
So it's definitely worth getting to that on your to-do list then. Yeah,
Yes.
Brilliant. And John, for you, what would you say is next for smart meters and small businesses?
So I think that it's where the residential market is probably ahead of the curve a little bit at the moment with some of the new tariffs that are being launched. They're leading the way, and I think we'll start to see more and more of that applicable for small business customers as well. So I've mentioned it a few times. It's a really exciting era that we're heading into now, where flexibility of what you're using when you're using it is going to unlock like really huge savings. The reality is, I think I mentioned this earlier, but just to reinforce it, the way the UK's electricity network is, its grid mix, the price is very much driven at the moment based on weather effects. How windy is it? How sunny is it? That will always be the cheapest form of electricity on the day, is wind generation and solar. And when the wind's not blowing and the sun's not shining, you've got your baseload nuclear power generation that's always on. But how do you fill the gaps in between the generation and demand mix, which generally you run gas powered electricity generation? So you've then got that dependency on gas to provide the flexibility. So what energy suppliers are doing now is providing tariffs that surface that for customers, and allow them to see, rather than just paying the same price and kind of averaging out the overall cost, they can see within a day when is it most expensive to be consuming electricity. And because wind is very variable day to day, as more tariffs are coming online, where the price you pay tomorrow could be different to the price you pay the next day based on how windy it's going to be. So that's the thing that's really exciting for us in the energy industry. This is like the next era of tariffs, and how customers can take active control and management of their energy spend. Because we see the demand profile for customers, or the UK overall. You generally see a reduction in electricity consumption overnight. Then there's the morning peak. Then it kind of stabilizes through the day, and then you get the real evening peak where everyone in the UK is, cooking their dinners, got the lights on, watching TV. So 4 to 7 is when it's most expensive at the moment to use energy. And if you can move your consumption outside of those periods, that's where the savings come in.
Yeah. And sort of building on from that, John, really. So if you picture a world where every small business had a smart meter, how would things look? Would things be sort of different for the sort of small business community?
It would be everyone's invoices would be more accurate, and that would be a music to my ears if we could get to a position where everyone's got accurate invoicing, because estimated bills are it's incredibly tricky to manage for both customers and energy suppliers. You don't know if you're building up debt, if you're being billed on estimates. And I mentioned the Scout Hut example. They'd had a long period of estimated invoices before the actual reading revealed just how much had been consumed. So for me, it would go a huge way to tackle estimated invoices and a reduction, and as a result, customers would just be a lot clearer in making sure they're paying for what they're using, and avoid those nasty surprises you get when you've had a long period of estimation. All of a sudden, you get an actual reading and it's a bill shock. Or flipping it around, you might have been overpaying. And we know, Heather, we know how tough it is for small businesses at the moment and how cash is so important. You really want to make sure that your energy supplier isn't just sitting on a load of money that should be in your pocket as well. So, yeah, I think it would be a game changer, Candy, if everyone in the UK had a smart meter. We would be very happy, accurate invoicing and accurate billing.
Yeah, Heather, for you, I mean, obviously, again, you're sort of really spearheading the way, aren't you, in terms of sustainability with your business. But for you, if you can imagine a world where actually every small business did adopt a smart meter, what do you think that would mean for the small business community?
Visibility and transparency, measurables. You can only change something if you can measure it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And looking at the sort of Q&A as well, there's some sort of good sort of chats. And we had an interesting point raised actually that it can be quite confusing, can't it? There's so many different measures for businesses to help lower their carbon footprint that sometimes it can be confusing. And what would you say, John, how small business can really get to grips with all the different sort of sustainable technology out there to help them lower their carbon footprints?
It is really complicated and confusing. Like we recognize that. What we're trying to do is, through partnerships with the likes of FSB, we're trying to provide more advice and guidance for businesses, and sort of demystifying a lot of this. So we set up dedicated pages on our website with advice. We do regular blogs and videos, explainer videos, just trying to demystify what is becoming more and more complex by the day. Because we think there's actions that every business can take right now, but just understanding where you are on your journey. Clearly, Heather and the team at Bottle are really advanced along their journey. Other businesses will be further behind, so it's just helping them, map out next steps. There's always a next step that you can be taking, and it's our role as energy industry experts is to understand that. So yeah, I'd encourage you to take a look at the website, go onto the small business pages, and there's a lot of kind of practical, helpful advice there that you can interact with.
Yeah, that's really fantastic. As it's some sort of really interesting insight that's come from both of those answers. I mean, Heather, obviously we've heard a little bit about your business. Just while we're waiting for some of the more questions to come in, do you want to give us a bit more flavour about Bottle? Obviously you've been going for a very long time. You've achieved some fantastic things. What are some of the things that actually you're most proud of in your business?
What am I most proud of? Obviously, the achievements as far as doing things properly and genuinely. There's a lot of greenwashing out there, and in fact, the EU are have come up with a new regulation where if you make any statement, you have to have it backed up. Any statement has to be measurable. So we're already there on that one. But what am I most proud of? Probably supplying all the Olympic athletes and the Paralympic athletes for the last 4 Olympics and 3 Winter Olympics. That's nice. I think that's about it. What else am I proud of?
Well, that's a pretty amazing achievement, Heather. I have to say, that's really fantastic.
Thank you.
No, that's amazing. So I mean, obviously, understanding actually sort of what some of those top tips are for small businesses about cutting energy consumption are really, really important. I would say, if you've got one sort of golden piece of advice for small businesses, what would it be? A big task, I know, because there's so much advice that we could give small businesses on sort of cutting energy costs. But John, what would you say? What is your sort of biggest tip, really?
Well, so I've been in the energy industry for a number of years, number of decades, and I've always found that the power of data is key. And yes, smart metering, which we spent a lot of time talking about today, is it provides more data, more information. So yeah, don't underestimate the power of data in how you run your business. Certainly fundamental to how we run the business of EDF. And it's the key to saving time, cutting costs, reducing carbon. So
That's
it's all
brilliant.
about data.
Yeah, all about data. Yeah, it's really important. Heather, you've got one bit of advice, one top tip for small businesses. What would that be in terms of sort of, being more energy efficient and cutting costs on energy?
Well, you can't decide what to do until you can measure it, until you can see where you can make those gains. So I would just say, just do it. Just get a smart energy so you can measure it, and don't delay. It's one of those things, bottom of the list, but there's no reason for it to be bottom of the list. It's very non-intrusive, very easy to do.
That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you. I mean, we had lots of more sort of questions coming through. We have had one actually, which I think some of our colleagues at the back may have answered, but we've got sort of questions around sort of some of the practicalities of smart meters. If you get an energy sort of cut, what kind of things you need to do. But there's some fantastic sort of questions that came through that sort of our team at the back have answered as well. So I think, we seem to have a little bit more time for questions if anyone wants to be brave and pop a question in the chats. But obviously you sort of highlighted as well earlier, John, the fantastic competition that you have as well. Do you just want to remind people on the webinar what they can do to enter the competition?
Yeah, sure. So there's two offers that we're doing currently. One is that if you sign up to an EDF business tariff, then you'll receive a £150 Amazon voucher. So that's the first offer that we're doing. And then the second one is the prize draw to win a year's free electricity. Again, that's open to all existing customers. So if you sign up to EDF, then you can become eligible for that offer as well. So yeah, those are the two things we're running. And if you joined late earlier in the presentation, if you watch it on playback, you'll see the two QR codes that you can scan there to sign up to both of those exclusive offers.
That's fantastic. And, if anyone has sort of registered for the event today, after today, you will get an email with all the links and resources that have been mentioned on the webinar. And we're also going to circulate actually this video so you can watch it again. So if we covered any sort of questions and you think, oh, I didn't quite get that answer, or you want to sort of make a note of it, we will circulate the recording so you can watch it again. Or if you've got any other businesses that actually could benefit from watching the webinar, you can sort of share the link with them as well. So I think that's it. I'm just going to check whether our Q&A are still going. We've got a couple more questions actually just before we end, just around sort of smart meters and whether they're accessible for people who may have visual, hearing, or mobility impairments. Are they sort of relatively easy to use, John?
Yeah, and if you've got there's definitely certain installations where it might be more problematic to get a smart meter fitted. But working with the teams at your energy supplier, they will be able to help you understand what adjustments, what alterations have to be made at site to make that happen. Oftentimes it's linked to signal strength is the biggest. Obviously you're communicating with the meter regularly. If it's in an area where signal strength is poor, we may have to look at alternative options to boost that signal and get the readings provided. So as we're definitely, if you've not looked into getting a smart meter yet, we definitely encourage you to do so. Just be aware there might be some site-specific things that you've got to contend with as well. And then in terms of any specific accessibility requirements, again, flag those when you're talking to the team and you're scheduling your appointment. Because of that power interruption as well, it may be that you've got to take some steps on site just during that period to make sure that doesn't cause unnecessary business disruption. So those are the kind of things when you're going into this journey, just to be aware of. There might be some challenges with where the meter is located that we just got to overcome, and also what might that supply interruption cause for your business, and again, explore options for out of hours appointments if you can't afford that business interruption during kind of core working hours.
Yeah, that's
it's a really good question. I feel like it's one as well. If you want to reach out to me on LinkedIn, happy to kind of pick up on that in more detail. If there's more specific elements of that question that I can help out with, we'll link in with the teams here that are really the experts in this. So
yeah, and that's a great sort of bit of advice as well. If in doubt, they can reach out to your team sort of to get some specific answers to their questions. So
absolutely.
I think that's probably draws us to a close. I think sort of the Q&A, it's gone quiet now. We've obviously shared lots of information and lots of takeaways. So as I said sort of a few minutes ago, everyone who has attended the webinar will get an email with a recording with all those links and resources. And I would urge everyone, enter that competition, because that's such a fantastic thing that so many small businesses will be really keen to take advantage of. Now, before we close, just one last thing. So if you've watched this webinar and you've enjoyed it and you found some useful information, do please leave FSB a Trustpilot review. And crucially, if you're not an FSB member, why not? And if you would like to find out more information about our whole range of services to support you and your small business, do visit our website to review the benefits and to find out more. So thank you, John. Thank you, Heather. It's been a really enjoyable webinar. Really, really fantastic to have you both. And thank you for answering the questions in such an in-depth way so that we can find out how smart meters can really help small businesses. So thank you both.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Candy.
Thank
Thanks, Heather.
you.
Thanks, everyone.